All right. So today I want to talk about communication inside of companies. And most of the time, what ends up happening is people just experience the symptoms like misalignment. And one of the things that I thought would be useful is to share how I think about diagnosing these sorts of problems when they happen, because unfortunately, they're very common, right? Kind of like no matter what you do, when you put a group of people together to solve various problems, and each person has their own set of problems that they're trying to deal with, um, it is actually just very hard to make sure that people are effectively communicating with each other to accomplish the things that are most important for the company. So, what are the symptoms? The symptoms are, when there's internally like bad communication, you get either people who are demoralized, they feel misaligned, or there's friction, right? So like those are like the formats that bad communication can take. And so I just want to share the framing that I use to think about how those things come about and how you can actually solve for this. So the number one problem that I experience is that people assume that they are aligned, right? It's like, oh, we work in the same company. How come you are not prioritizing X, right? Like a really good example is, between sales and CS is like a very common thing. It's like, oh, if you're selling this product, you must know that it's important that we set the customer up to be successful once they sign up. And it's like, because obviously that's important for the company. So that's like an assumption of alignment. Or, in the D2C world, it's like, oh, like, you know, you're selling this type of product. You must know, and you're selling a lot of it, you must know that the margin profile of this product is slightly different than the margin profile of this product, especially when you include shipping and all these other things, right? And so it's like assumptions, uh, or yeah, like an incorrectness of assumptions can lead to negative outcomes. And then the other axis is how do you actually talk internally? Do you ask questions or do you actually push ideas? So, like a good example of this is like of pushing an idea is, hey, we need to market very heavily in on Black Friday for this product in order to sell it. A question is, hey, which product do you think we should market most heavily for Black Friday and why? Right? Now, what happens is when you drive internal communication through advocacy or people feel like they need to like push their colleagues, inevitably, and they assume alignment. When you push and you assume alignment, that's where you get misaligned. When you assume alignment and you ask questions, so like you're basically like, hey, receiving the input, like, hey, which product, and then somebody says something else other than what you were thinking of, and you just accept that, then it's like, okay, you're getting pushed around, so you get demoralized. Now, on the other end of assuming alignment is that you actually like work to sell. This is different than advocating because it's like, hey, I'm not assuming that there is alignment. I'm instead going to like assume that I need to create alignment. So I'm going to like work to get you excited about an idea, right? So now if you internally communicate through advocacy and then you work to sell, now you have bumping of heads. I think we should do X, I think we should do Y. And that is just like friction, right? And so this is also a negative outcome. And so the model that I use to try to drive alignment and that I suggest, at least in our company that we use is you ask questions and then you work to sell. So, hey, I think we should sell product. What product do you think we should sell for Black Friday? I think it should be X. Oh, can you help me explain? Can you help me understand why it should be X? And then the person shares their view, and then you truly think about it. You truly think about why is it X and not Y? And then you go back and you say like, hey, I have an idea. What if we drive, and I don't know how you would sell because this is like a made up example, but what if we sold X now as a way to test whether or not X is the right thing to sell before Black Friday because we have Labor Day coming up. And then depending on the outcome of that, we make a decision on whether it's X or Y, and we can test a little bit before that for Black Friday. So that way we're going into it with eyes wide open of all of the follow-on ramifications. Now what you've done is like you've gotten the person excited because you've actually told them like, hey, I'm going to try your idea first. We're going to see what happens, and then we're going to make a better decision in the future, right? Instead of just sort of getting at loggerheads. Now, again, this is a made-up example, so I understand this is imperfect, but the point is that you have to actually, how you communicate internally drives how you internally feel uh, about how your teammates are in the company. And as a founder, as a CEO, especially, I think it's really important to pay attention to how different people are acting when they are in, especially cross-team communications. I hope this was helpful, and let me know, as usual, if there are specific things that could be helpful to talk about.